All right. A lot of times when people are looking at real estate, they think, why do I need a real estate agent? I've got Zillow, I've got Realtor.com, I've got access to everything that I could possibly need. But the reality is that real estate agents, and me in particular, have access to people within the trades and just information that you as consumers don't necessarily have. And today I wanted to give you a real life example of how my business connections and skills and expertise went on to help a young family get a home. So out in Castroville, there was this really, really great house, and I've been helping these folks for a little while, trying to find a suitable place for mom, dad, and three littles. And at the below 200 price range, it can be really, really challenging. Like you can find the properties, but unfortunately, the overall condition and the deferred maintenance issues that you have to deal with are more than often than not way beyond what would be reasonable. Sometimes these are even, tear downs. In other words, you're buying the value of the land and there's really no value or there's negative value in the house. So imagine how excited we were when we came across a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom home on 1.98 acres. It got really exciting for this young couple. And so drive out to Castroville, and sure enough, great house. Not perfect house, but great, overall condition. And it's like, well, what's the catch? And so I'm there and I'm looking around and something just doesn't seem right. And so I do a lap around the house like I do. I'm looking up, looking down, looking at foundation, looking for settling. And I think, gosh, there's no outdoor pad for an air conditioning unit. So go back inside the house, and sure enough, looking up, looking down, there's no registers or ductwork in this house. And so when I say registers, those are the rectangular vents that you see in walls or up in floors where air is pushed through that's either heated or cooled for acclimatizing the home. And so, oh my. So the previous owners didn't use this as a primary residence. They used it as a, just like a vacation place, and they had window units. So they would pop open the windows and put in window units that would heat and cool, which for their purposes, great, no problem. But for a full-time residence and what they were thinking that they would like to have for their home, just no. And just did not make sense. So here's my example of when a real estate agent and our network and our connections can really make a difference. I was able to call up the great folks at Dilmac. They are a full-service HVAC company, and Mike came out within 24 hours because they love me and I love them. They came right out and he did the measurements and did all of the calculations that is needed for volume to be able to determine the right size of system. We even looked at the electrical capacity in the electrical box to make sure that we had enough capacity at the house for the electricity to be able to run the overall system safely. And one of the things that I was not expecting that Mike was able to determine was that we needed some additional cap insulation in order to make the most of the heating and cooling dollars that this young family would be spending. So at the end of the day, yes, the property is listed at $185,000, but the reality is that we got a quote for $20,936 from Dilmac. And so in this market and in the way that the market has been changing, I am going to be writing an offer for the property that is not the full asking price. And you can imagine that it's probably about $20,000 under what they're asking. But basically what happens is you take a house that's otherwise not doable and that people are counting out, and you make that property a possibility, not because you change it, but because you see the possibilities in it and you have the skills and wherewithal to puzzle through. And because the property is deficient with the HVAC, we don't have a ton of first-time home buyers clamoring to buy it. So less competition means the seller is going to be more likely to, be open to negotiation. So anyway, that is just one real life and recent example of how you may not realize what your real estate agent is really doing for you, or their capacity to help you or puzzle out problems. And if you feel like you would like to work with somebody that cares enough to not just take what's obvious or served up and what everybody else can have, but really will advocate for you and try to see how we can make things work for you, then I hope that you'll consider giving me a telephone call.